The fighter and the kid.
It's the fighter.
It's the fighter
and the kid.
and the kid. I think that there's vigorous debate on whether or not there are already, I think, 20,000 laws on the books when it comes to gun control.
That obviously aren't working, are they?
Well, right. And so the biggest, if you really listen to these debates, a lot of the debates are, we already have, 400 million guns in circulation. So I mean, if you want to run a massive confiscation effort, good luck doing that in the United States.
Does Australia have these problems?
Yeah, they were very effective.
We had up until this shooting, we had the world's largest mass shooting by a single person.
That's right at that
in
mall?
like 1987.
Yep.
No, it wasn't in a mall. It was outside.
They had an amazing
place called Port Arthur.
Their legislation had an amazing effect.
So the Prime Minister at the time decided that's it. We're going to take away all semi-automatic rifles, put in more legislation.
Brilliant.
And everyone, they had a buyback scheme. You get money for your guns. And we have not had a shooting since. Well, we've had bikies shooting each other. But we haven't had
what we have.
nothing like that.
It's weird
the
they
difference
don't learn
was,
from that
well,
stuff.
but the difference was
You guys are too far gone.
Yeah, you guys were able to.
We're past the point of
but
return.
they were
Yeah.
also able to pass a sort of a nationwide law. The problem in the United States is there are so many loopholes because states have their own sovereignty. There are laws like, for example, one of the biggest issues is that as a private citizen in a lot of states, I can sell you a gun, and it's just a private transaction between us. I don't have to check in on anything that has to do with your background or anything.
That's a huge issue.
And not only that falls in when you have a gun show in certain states. So if you're a private gun dealer and you're at a gun show, I can buy that gun from you, and I don't have to go through the federal.
What's weird to me is both sides. However you feel, I think everyone has to acknowledge whatever we're currently doing is not working.
That's a good point.
And not only is it not working, it's going terrible.
Mm-hmm.
I'm more confused about the terrorist watch list thing, where they wanted to introduce more extensive checks if you've been on a terrorist watch list, or just not allow you to buy a gun.
But again,
and they knocked that back.
Okay,
too.
but
so
here's
you
the other,
want terrorists to have guns?
Well, no, but Americans are very wary. Historically, very wary of the idea that because you're under investigation by a state agency, you are already considered guilty.
Okay.
And when you tie in the fact that you're not allowed to have a gun. The idea of having a standing army in our country was a very, very contentious issue with the second presidential election in our country. And the idea being a standing army is always taken over by a charismatic leader to suppress the people. That's been the history of Europe and every other country. We're not going to be that way as a country. Mm-hmm. The Revolutionary War has definitely changed that. We had to have an army. But there's an emotional and historical quotient you've got to take into account in this country, which is the idea that, and if you hear these debates, man, a lot of people say, look, if you're going to pass another gun law, okay, is this an idea of people getting access to lethal weaponry? Probably, but is it also a mental health issue? Remember, this guy, for example, in Orlando, had a carrier's permit, a regular permit, worked as a security guard for 7 years, didn't have really a history of mental illness. He had two I guess, instances where he was making inflammatory remarks that were investigated.
He's also on the FBI watch list.
That's right.
Twice.
Yeah. So when you start having these debates, the real issue is what is going to stop this stuff from happening. Let's start there without choosing sides, right?
Nothing.
What is the idea? How do we keep track of people that are mentally ill that are exhibiting signs that they might hurt other people? How do you do that? Is there a central database? How do you do that without? So what is mental illness? How do you define mental illness? If I'm depressed, is that a mental illness? Does that go on my public record? Does that affect my employment? These are really questions that people are wrestling with. And you have to be very careful with how you define these things, because you're giving someone, usually a government agency, power over you that can have ramifications for the rest of your life. That's all I'm saying. You might punch somebody in the face. And they say you have mental illness because you have anger issues, and you have to go to anger management, like my friend had to.
Wouldn't be a bad thing.
At least we didn't shoot someone.
Well, it wouldn't be a bad thing under certain
circumstances. Okay, so you got to go to anger management.
Look, I love guns. I was a soldier.
Yeah.
I've used bazookas and rocket launchers and stuff.
Yeah.
But I've been here 5 days and I can't get a gun. Yet someone under investigation by the FBI can get one.
Well,
there's some.
Here's what I think is sensible.
And I'm trained in it.
I know.
I just am. I thought a lot about it. I don't know the answer. I think it's a lot more complicated. But we had. But I will say this: with every problem, there is a solution. And I think that the solution's out there, and I think that we need to. But I think both sides are not talking to each other. The debates in this country crack me up because what happens is we break up into teams, and people get very emotional. They go, "I'm a gun owner. I'm an American. Fuck you. You're a liberal communist." And then the gun control people say, "Listen, man, there's got to be sensible gun control here." And they go, "You're fucking infringing on my rights."
What's weird? Where's the person going? Hey, whatever you believe in, it ain't working.
That's what we're doing.
It's terrible.
That's
This
probably
is
most
fucking
people.
terrible.
That's probably most people. But the debate gets
Except
hijacked.
for the people that make the decisions.
It gets hijacked.
I find it interesting that people want more guns.
That's mind-blowing.
This is how you protect. I've got friends on Facebook and stuff out here, and they update their status and say, "This is how you stay safe from people with guns. Make sure you have a gun with you everywhere."
That seems logical because men do that.
This is the Wild West still out here. You guys haven't changed since the old spaghetti western movies.
Well,
you know?
listen. Look at our mythology.
We haven't
our
advanced.
movies. Go to the movie theater right now. Our movies
I'm not
are
sure
about
I want to.
one
They
man.
get shot up.
Well, yeah, that's by the way. But
By
our
white
movies,
guys.
Our movies are about one man who solves his problems. How? Typically violently. John Wayne. It goes back.
God damn, you said
it's
John
frontier justice. I mean, Rambo. Think about the movies. Think about Arnold Schwarzenegger in Predator. One man with a gun, and those guys are bad guys.